Hello YouTube, this is Morgan Airspeed Prime here with my next Avatar video. This is going to be about the next Avatar Trivia Challenge. Specifically, this one is going to be number 2, which I'm calling the Kyoshi Novel edition, because most of the questions are going to be in some way related to the Rise of Kyoshi and the Shadow of Kyoshi novels. Some of them will be like just direct questions about the book and your understanding of the plot. Other questions will be sort of more general ones, but where part of the answer you'll probably only know if you have read those novels. So it's not just that it's like a quiz about the books themselves, but more of a general thing that happens to have a lot of stuff that includes new information from Kyoshi. So, just be aware of that. That's the whole point of me doing the introductions to these trivias and not just jumping straight in with here's question 1. I'll get to that in a second. I want to explain, again, a little bit of my approach to trivia for anyone new, just so they know what exactly is going on here. I think I do trivia a little bit differently than most people do online because I am aware that most Avatar fans really know their stuff. So if I do a standard trivia as you'd expected, I'm basically asking for nearly everyone who enters to get 100% marks on the questions. So I do my questions in a way where you have to think about them a little bit more. They are on the more difficult end of things, but without being unfair, in my opinion. So a lot of the times that will be that I asked you to show your understanding of something rather than just that you can name the thing, that you know what it is and what it means. A lot of the questions will be like, name 4 times this thing happened, and those 4 things relate to it happens once in Avatar, once in Korra, once in the comics, and so it's to show that you are familiar with all aspects of the Avatar world. Not just that you've watched Avatar lots and Korra lots, but that you have read the books, the comics, and stuff like that. So obviously for this one, if you haven't read the 2 Kyoshi novels, you're probably going to struggle with some of this stuff. So be aware of that. And then I'm very willing to just immediately do stuff that involves the comics, other material that basically, if it's Avatar information and it fits into canon and doesn't directly contradict anything, that's the way I view it. So don't go in there with really strict views on what you view as being canon. I'll pull stuff from pretty much anywhere. Just be aware of that. So really remember all of the Avatar content that's out there as you go through these questions is basically what I'd have to say. So yeah, a lot of my approach to this is that, to me, if you get full marks on one of my trivias, full score, perfect score, it should be a massive accomplishment because I tried to make them really, really tricky. And I thought I did the first trivia difficult enough that wouldn't happen, but then 2 people won. 2 people got first place, joined first place with full marks, and I wasn't particularly happy with that. So I think I've sort of done it a little bit where, at least in a few of the questions, I'm expecting no one to be able to get them fully right. But I think that's the whole point here, is that it's not just that nearly everyone who enters is going to get full marks, and the only positions are going to be by people who make mistakes. No, this is the challenge of this is to, can you even get close to the full marks? The other thing that I'll say is that I don't care when you're doing the trivia if you watch the episodes, read the books again, look up stuff online, try and Google basically the answers to the questions. The questions are done in a way where I'm aware that that's probably what you're going to do, because the way this trivia has to work, I can't obviously just directly ask you the question and have you off the top of your head without looking at anything answer it like a typical trivia is. So I've done the questions in a way where they're aware of the format that the trivia is going to work in. So research, do what you want. You'll have the full week obviously once this video goes live to enter, but you have to make sure you get it right, and that's why they're questions that are going to take a little bit of looking around to figure it out. Some of them you'll probably know straight off the top of your head, or you might need to search up about one thing. But that's the way I sort of view, Avatar knowledge. Even I don't remember every single thing in my head. I have to look up stuff at times as well. And I think being able to find the information is just as important as just remembering it all just straight off the top of your head. How do you go about finding something when you don't immediately remember where it's from? And that's another thing that you'll probably notice as you go through these questions. So I think that's most of what I want to talk about here in terms of just the main points about the trivia. So I'm going to switch over to just my audio as I show you the questions, go through them, as well as how to enter and the rules and so on. Okay, so how is this going to work? Airspeed's Avatar Trivia Challenge. It's going to be 11 questions, which I'll get to in just a minute. You will have 1 week from the day that this video is posted and goes live to enter, meaning pretty much exactly 1 week to the hour, basically. So, this is what I'd say is that don't leave it to the last minute, because obviously I'm in Ireland. If you're from like America, I'll probably be ending this a lot earlier in the day than you maybe think I should be. So, I definitely recommend you get it in, and don't leave it to the last minute. But I think a week is enough time to cover only 11 questions, where we're not extending it out too long, but you still have time to actually research the questions and so on. You are going to be sending your answers to me via email, and the email address to send them to is avataronlinepodcast@gmail.com. So, yeah, I have capital AOP there. You don't need to include that. Email addresses, it doesn't really matter anyway, but that's just to make it clear that the email address, the name of it, is Avatar Online Podcast. Do not post answers to the questions in the comment section below. Otherwise, of course, you will be giving away your thought process, your answers potentially to other people. So I will be deleting the comments of anyone who does try to post their answers in the comment section below. So just don't do that. You're meant to send them to me by email so that you obviously keep your answers to yourself. And so I'm the only one who's going to see them, given that I'm going to be correcting them later on. Ask in the comments or by email for clarification on questions. I can't guarantee I will be able to add extra clarification to certain questions. If I feel that adding anything else would just utterly give away the answer to a question, I'm not going to say anything else. But if you do have struggles with some of them, ask about them. It's up to you if you want to do it publicly or if you want to email me separately. That's completely up to you. Submit your answers once. No additions or edits. And what I mean by this is send your answers to every single question in just one email. People didn't do it badly or anything like that the first time, but there were a few people who did come in a few days after sending in their questions and then added in a few extra bits, and it just made it much more difficult to go through because they had answers across 2 or 3 emails. So do all your work ahead of time and then send me one thing. I will be disregarding basically any other edits or additions, changes to answers that you make via additional emails. So get it right the first time. And that's just purely for me, the logistics of, I don't know how many people are going to enter this, so I could be dealing with a lot of answers and I don't want to have to go through 10 emails for each person. So please answer all 11 questions in just one email, and only submit it once, of course. And then this is just to make it clear what's going to happen in the next video, the follow-up video to this. If you enter, your score will be shown in the results video. And what I mean by this is basically that if you enter, don't really put in a lot of effort, and you get a bad score, your name will be listed next to your score in the results video. So if you get a really poor score, people are going to see it. So just, try that extra little bit harder, and just be aware that, I will be posting everyone's score publicly so you can see who scored what and so on. Other little bits and pieces is that, yes, there is going to be a prize for the winner. Unfortunately, I just don't really have the ability at the moment to ship anything out to anyone or anything like that. So the winner is going to get to choose the topic for a future Avatar discussion video. So the Avatar discussion topic series is probably my kind of longest running series on my channel, and it's one of the more popular ones. So if you win, you do get to choose your specific topic that you want for a discussion video. So yeah, we'll talk that over obviously with whoever wins and so on. And the other thing is also, obviously, that you will also get to be the Avatar Trivia Champion until the next Trivia Challenge. Again, people can enter multiple ones. Even if you've won before, you can win, so you can continue being the Trivia Champion for quite a while. Tie for top score means everyone who gets that tie score will win the prize, and we'll also have co-champions, because if you were familiar with the first trivia, the previous champions for the first trivia was a tie between Leigh and Yuto. They both got full marks, perfect score, and so they tied for the win, and they both got the prize. They both got to be the champion, and obviously this is trivia number 2. It could be you. It could be anyone, basically, going forward. And this is the way I'll be doing the trivias as we continue to go on. I will be keeping track of who has won and stuff like that. Who's won multiples and so on. And statistics like that, basically, of like if specific people are placing very highly in multiple ones and so on. And we'll go through that, I suppose, more trivias are gone through. But yeah, let's get into the questions. So question 1 that you're going to have to answer is this. In the Kyoshi novels, we see 2 potential disasters for the Saowon clan's home island averted. What were these 2 disasters, and how were they stopped from happening? So just to get a bit more specific on this question, and it will give you an insight into how to better answer all of the questions. Very clearly, this question is asking for 4 things. You're basically supplying me with 4 pieces of information to score the full marks on this question. It's obviously just 1 point. Each question will have the same amount of score devoted to it. But in this case, that 1 mark is split into, basically 4 1/4 marks. So, making it clear what the 2 disasters were is half of the points. And then the other half of the points is for explaining how these 2 disasters were averted. So you have to do that, obviously, for each of them and so on. So, that's the way it's going to go. In this case, it's 4 pieces of information I'm looking for. In other cases, it will be just 1 answer, very clearly. Other ones, I'm asking for a lot more things, and so the answer will be split even more. So I'll give you as many marks as I feel I can, and you'll notice that by the end, you're probably going to have a pretty crazy decimal point score by the end, just because of the amount of sort of multi-part questions I ask here. But anyway, let's move on to question 2. We actually visit the home island of the Keohso Clan in Avatar: The Last Airbender. What is the name of this island? What episode of ATLA do we go there in? And how do we know that the 2 places are the same? So, in this case, I'm asking for 3 pieces of information. So, obviously, your score is 1/3 for naming the Keohso Clan's home island. 1/3 of the marks are going for what episode of Avatar: The Last Airbender we see this island in, and then the final piece of the mark is going for making the connection, basically, from the Kyoshi novel to that episode. Why do we know they're exactly the same? So that's important as well. So that's question 2, and we move on to question 3. What event from the past causes the Saowon clan to have issues with the Sei'Naka clan? So you may be wondering, like, wait, I've read the Kyoshi novels. The Saowon clan have issues with the Keohso clan. That's the conflict in the book, not really the Sei'Naka clan. But no, I'm asking a slightly different question here. The Saowon clan and their issues with the Sei'Naka clan. So it's not as present there in the book. It is a little bit more obscure, but that's what I'm asking for. There is a very clear event where they bring up, something the Saowon clan would take issue with, and I just want you to explain that one. So this was the more difficult question, whereas if I ask, what issue does the Saowon clan have with the Keohso clan, that's just the plot of the book. That's just the plot of The Shadow of Kyoshi. That's not that interesting of a question. But this other issue, kind of in the middle of all of that, I think is a more kind of subtle answer. So that's question 3. Question 4 is this one. What is a panchem? Note that the spelling on that might be wrong, because this word is only spoken. We never see it written down like anywhere in the entire franchise, so it might be spelled banchem. Similarly, that maybe speaks to the idea that the pronunciation of it, the one time we hear it, isn't the best either. So, it's a thing, obviously, but what is it? So this is one of those questions where I think you're probably going to know this one, or not? For me, this is something I've like laser focused in on since this piece of information came to light, and I've always been like, wow, no one ever really talks about this, and it is kind of obscure, but I'm really interested to know how many people are going to actually know what to do with this question. So yeah, what is a bancham or a bancham? Again, pronunciation, spelling, not ideal, but if you know it, you know it. If you don't, you probably won't get this one. But I think everyone's going to be in the same boat. So this could be a very turning question of like, if you know this one, you're probably going to be a full mark ahead of a lot of other people. So interesting question 4. I don't typically do my questions like this where it is going like super obscure, but I really wanted to just see what people would do with this one. Question 5. In Turf Wars, the villain Tokuga has his physical appearance altered by a spirit who jumped inside him briefly. Name 6 other examples of a human and a spirit merging or combining in some way. Now, the thing to keep in mind with this question is I'm looking for obviously 6 examples of a human and spirit merging. They don't have to be done in like the identical way to Tokuga. I'm not directly talking about like, oh, all these characters have to be humans whose like physical appearances were altered. That was just the example to get across what I mean by sort of, spirit merging, spirit morphing, spirit combining. So it can be any of the different sort of slightly different methods of it, but just the core question is 6 examples that aren't Tokuga of humans and spirits merging, whether it be temporarily, permanently, whatever. Give me those examples. That's what I'm looking for there. So that's question 5. Question 6 is this one. In the Shadow of Kyoshi, exactly how old is Kyoshi? Give your answer in years and days, and ignore leap years when doing your calculation. So that's just to avoid any complexities with the fact that like we don't know exactly how the calendar in the Avatar world works, but the way her age is given, it is clear that a year is meant to be viewed as kind of being the same as a year here. So when you're doing your calculation, just ignore the idea of leap years and just don't try and overcomplicate this one. Her age is given exactly at a certain point in the book. Don't try and like account for like that a few days pass after that. No, that number exactly as it's given in the book, that's what I'm going off here. Not trying to trick anyone with anything or anything like that. So just the question exactly as it is, exactly the way you think it's being asked. And that's question 6. Question 7. Name 5 spirits who can or have either created a passageway between the physical and spirit world, or have the ability to transfer between worlds without needing a portal. So obviously you can do a mix amount of this. I'm not trying to say that like name 5 who have created a passageway and 5 who have the ability. No, you can do one of the top 1 for the bottom 1. It's just like either or, kind of combination of different sort of spirit kind of related powers. So I want 5 things is what I'm looking for here. So you're going to get like 5th marks for every positive answer. And yeah, I'm looking for either someone who has created a passageway between the 2 worlds, or a spirit who has the ability to transfer without needing a portal. So 2 different approaches to the same general idea of transferring between the worlds. So that's question 7. Question 8 is, prior to the introduction of bloodbending during Aang's era, give 3 examples of a waterbender bending the water inside someone's body. So I want to clarify with this question. What I mean by talking about like Aang's era and then prior to the introduction, I'm talking about like in-universe timeline. I'm not talking about like as the like out of universe as each piece of merchandise or whatever each book was released. I'm literally talking about timeline related stuff. That in Avatar, Hama is the one who invents bloodbending. So prior to that event in the Avatar world, from anything across the franchise, what are 3 examples that we've seen of an Avatar prior to Hama bending water inside someone's body? That's what I'm looking for here. So obviously you get 3rd marks for every positive one correct here, of course. But we'll move on. Question 9. Korra created a new spirit portal when she blocked the blast from Kuvira's spirit vine cannon. In the past, another avatar came very close to creating a spirit portal. Which avatar was it, and what were the circumstances around it? So, this is one of those questions where, as much as this one comes across as if it's like a two-part question, it's really just like you either get this one wrong or you get it right. So I'm not giving you half marks just for naming the avatar. It's the full mark for saying that this avatar did this to nearly create a portal. It's the full thing that you're getting judged on here, not partial answers. So if you get the avatar right, but the circumstances of it wrong, then you don't get any marks. That's the way I'm correcting this one. But otherwise, I think that one's pretty clear. Avatar in the past from Korra. Makes sense. Question 10. We know at least some details about 10 different avatars. Korra, Aang, Roku, Kyoshi, Kuruk, Yang-chen, and Wan are all well known. But who are the other 3 avatars and what do we know about them? And then you can see in brackets, not all are named. So the avatars who aren't the 7 named in the question, who are the other 3 avatars I'm referring to? Given that, as I say in the question there, at least one of them has never been named, but we do learn information about an unnamed avatar. So that's what I'm looking for here. If you can, name as many as possible, of course, here, but just try and get the detail, as much detail as we can across about them. Obviously, in this case, we're getting towards the more obscure avatars we don't know much about, so there's not going to be too much to say about them, but I'm relying on the fact that, you can tell me what we do know about these more obscure avatars. So that's, I think, pretty standard question there. But anyway, question 11, the last question. Name 20 characters who have been poisoned in the Avatar universe. So some clarifications on this one, just because it's a big list. They have to be named characters, so a character who has a direct name. So this means no unnamed characters, so no answering the question with that guy over there who looked like this from this episode. No, I want names. No repeats, so even if a character has been poisoned twice, they don't count twice on the list, they only count once. Smoke inhalation does not count for this, and also named animals do count if you happen to find any cases of animals getting poisoned. So once a character or an animal has a name and they're poisoned, put them on the list. I'm asking for 20 here. I've gone very extreme with this one. So we'll see how many people do well on this one here. This is, this I think on question 4, I'm thinking are probably going to be the 2 ones that really determine who wins and who doesn't do too well at this. And I think it's going to come down to these ones. So again, every answer is going to be 1/20th of a mark. So it could come down to being that close in the end. Someone who gets 18 characters in this versus someone who gets 17. That it's a small difference, but it could play a big role. So yeah, that's question 11, and then we'll just end off with the details once again. You have 1 week from the day this video was published, so be aware of what day this video went up on to enter, and you are going to be sending your emails by email to avataronlinepodcast@gmail.com. Don't post your answers in the comment section below. You can ask for clarification on questions, but I can't guarantee I can give them to you because it might give away the question too much. And the key one here, submit your answers once. Take your time, put your email with your answers together carefully, and once you submit, that's it submitted. I will not be taking into account anything else that you add on. So make sure you do your thinking first. Don't put the initial 10 characters you think have been poisoned and then come back and be like, oh, I found 5 others later on. They won't be counted. Put them all in there when you submit your answers for the first time. And then yeah, when a week passes and everyone's entered, I'll tally up all of the scores. I'll determine who is the winner, and I'll make a video going over all of the answers to these questions, in addition to everyone's scores that they got, and obviously, of course, announcing the winner and so on. So yeah, that is the Avatar Trivia Challenge number 2. Good luck to everyone involved. But yes, that has been the video. Thanks for watching, and bye.